I see my name in shining lights. Yeah, a different city every night. Oh, I swear the world better prepare for when I'm a billionaire.
It's time to get down to business on the weekend's #1 business program. Known as the King of Networking, your host, Shalom Klein, has worked with thousands of entrepreneurs and created countless jobs. So, to success. Let's get down to business.
And indeed, we're all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship in business. We talk a lot about business here. You're on with Get Down to Business, and I'm your host, Shalom Klein. Remember, you can always download podcasts from Get Down to Business on my website at shalomklein.com. And while you are there, don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Shalom Klein. It's going to be a jam-packed week of content and information you will not want to miss. So let's jump right into it. I've been very excited for this conversation because, as I was just saying off air, I feel like I know our guest, Mark Fujiwara, who is partners with my dear friend and returning guest on the program, Justin Breen. But Mark, welcome to the program.
Oh, honored to be here, Shalom. And first off, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for your service. Really appreciate
Thank you.
Hero of mine.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Thanks for the support. And as I will just say this plug, as I always do on the air, a lot of folks don't understand what it means to sometimes balance business and service. And that's what those in the Army Reserve and National Guard do. So thank you for recognizing that. So Mark, I want to get to know you, the person behind the microphone, before we jump into your latest and greatest business venture with our friend Justin Breen, and it's called the Brepic Network. But we're gonna get there in just a moment. Mark, tell our listeners, who is Mark Fujiwara?
All right. So 30 years in what you would call the wealth management business, certified portfolio manager from Columbia. And really started the business in a kind of a different way. I really, in a nutshell, built a family office type of practice. And specialty is just bringing together right cohesive teams to get the best results and optimize the wealth created by terms of the people selling their companies. But really, the thing that I do is just create the right introductions to get the results. People can come to me for results, and my job is to the heavily vetted professionals that I work very closely with, bring them the right professionals, depending on fit.
That's awesome. So what I'm hearing from, again, our first-time guest here, Mark Fujiwara, is that certainly it's all about relationships. It's all about the people, and certainly you understand that as it relates to helping people, obviously on the wealth management side. And that leads us to where you are going these days. And to sort of preface that and to talk a little bit about it, where have you been networking, Mark? Where have you built some of those outstanding relationships in business as well as in your personal and professional life?
I think it boils down to networking with the right people. So I think my first networking event was about 30 years ago, and I went into, I think it was called Le Tip, and you go in there and you just kind of trade leads for leads, and you're like, use this accountant. He's in my Le Tip group, and that of course has transformed a bit. So to answer your question in terms of the network that I built was to ask the right people. That's the premise around Brepic Network, which is like, it's like, whoa, did you magically get these 100 plus professional partnerships? It's like, no, actually, certain people in this hundreds of people here, great professionals. I asked them, I said, do you have a trusted contact that can get me this result? So I also, I've been a strategic coach. I've been in different mastermind groups. Also a very good way to do things. But it takes time. It takes a lot of time. So the quickest path is, for me, is to ask the right people, guys like Justin, guys like the trusted people, within my network.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. Again, I'm chatting with Mark Fujiwara, who is partnered with Justin Breen on the Brepic Network. And that's honestly great advice that you're sharing with all of our listeners about those relationships. And it's interesting because I've sort of studied many successful entrepreneurs, business owners, and I've discovered that many of the best service providers in the world, frankly, aren't doing a lot of advertising. And that's because their business is coming through word of mouth and referrals. And I know you mentioned strategic coach, and I know that Justin talks about that all the time. So what is the premise of Epic Network, and what are you hoping to change in the world with your upcoming project?
So I'll extend it off of Justin's description, LinkedIn without the BS. So we had kind of thought about this separately, and then I met a strategic coach, and all my business is, as I mentioned, is purely derived upon getting results through the right connections, And I even go so far as saying that there's certain connections that you can't really put a dollar price on. There's really, I'll give you an example. I mentioned to someone I had just met a few months ago that I wanted to get my daughter into a private school here in San Francisco, probably the hardest school to get into in Northern California, a school called Hamlet's. And he says, "Hey, I think I can introduce you to someone on the board. Would that help?" So you can't really say, okay, that's worth this much or that much. What that is, though, is it takes a lot of the guesswork out. It gets me the result that I want through a direct connection. I see the value of connections from this standpoint to create an M&A team to sell your business.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. And I by the way, I love that saying of LinkedIn without the BS, which is cool. So, what kind of people do you believe will be a good fit in the invitation only network?
Yeah, it's invitation and only, and that's a good point in terms of the people that play at a high level in the service business typically don't want to advertise. It's not a spray and pray mentality. You want, as Justin had mentioned, the top 1% of the 1%. And what that means is that people are playing at a high level. They're really good at what they do. They're top of the food chain in whatever industry, whatever they're doing. But there's another side of that. They have an abundance mindset. Like I have, there's going to be financial advisors in this network. And people are like, well, why would you have financial advisors in this network? Because they serve a very small niche that I really can't serve that well, quite frankly. So the vetting process, Shalom, comes down to that first conversation I have with them and the description of it. It's like the description purely is it's a fast track to get the types of introductions that you want, a fast track to get the high quality types of introductions that you want. And what that means is that there's certain people that I can turn to, like Justin, and say, Justin, I need an introduction to get me this result. Justin will send me that contact, and he'll send me the LinkedIn, the bio. I won't even look at that. I don't say how much it costs. I know Justin's going to send me someone very solid, someone very good, and that's going to be able to get the results. So that's a premise around that. It's almost like doing a Google search and say, I need this type of introduction. And the people within here are people like Justin and I. We play at a high level. We carefully vet the people that come into our network, our own network, our very own network, and only utilize people that we know very well, that we've had interaction with, so that introduction is 100%.
And I know from getting to know you and Justin that it is also about, we mentioned service a couple of minutes ago. It is also people that are sort of just good people and trying to do what's right. And you mentioned abundance, which I know is the buzzword, so which is great. So we've got about 2 minutes remaining, Mark, and I would be remiss if, as I talk to a successful entrepreneur, a successful advisor like yourself, if I didn't ask for your advice for fellow entrepreneurs, especially as we wrap up this calendar year. So many people in the Chicagoland area and beyond looking to put things in place now to make their business successful in the upcoming year. What is I'm going to ask it in a strange way, but what is the biggest sort of speed bump that you face that maybe you want to make sure somebody doesn't hit along the way that you can maybe help them avoid?
Absolutely. The biggest speed bump I faced was trying to sell. And what selling means is that you have a product, you have a service, and you're just trying to find that your way in to put that product, put that service in the lap of the person across from you. I completely switch that around. And this is what I do for Epic Network as well. It is finding out about the other person. What do you want? Right? I'm not going to assume that you came to me to sell your company. I'm just going to ask you, what do you want to accomplish here? And when I get down to what that hot button is, you keep digging and digging and digging. And in some cases, it might not be a fit, which is great, right? So you're not wasting your time going down a rabbit hole, creating a relationship that shouldn't be there. You find what they want, and that's what you deliver. And that's plain and simple. That's what, when you're in those important meetings, find out what they want and see if there's a fit from there.
I love it, and I've talked a little bit about that over the past number of years on the program, and I can relate that I had that aha moment early on of from trying to sell accounting services to people that didn't need it, and all of a sudden you realize you want to make sure people get, as you said, the connections, the relationships that they need, and help them along in that journey. So we're running out of time, and Mark, I want to make sure our listeners know where they can get a hold of you and learn more about Brepic Network. Can you share that information with our listeners?
Yeah, first off, brepicnetwork.com. It's invitation only, but we do have a space in there if you want to inquire about that. And then for me, it's markfujiwara.com, my first, last name, and .com.
I'm pretty easy to find on LinkedIn as well. But thanks so much for joining us here on Get Down to Business. Mark Fujiwara, thank you so much. I look forward to having you back on in the future. Quick break here and Get Down to Business. We'll be back in just a moment.